Hello everyone, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. It's Thursday, December 22nd. I'm Batsir Namshar. Our top stories for today: more than 10% of children under the age of 18 are working. Operawire names 11 top opera singers of 2022. The amount of non-performing loans already reached 24%. For other news, stay tuned. In 2022, the Bank of Mongolia followed a strict monetary policy and increased the policy rate by 7 percentage points up to 13%. However, the amount of loans within the banking sector have increased. Notably, the amount of non-performing loans already reached 24%.
Compared to the year-to-year period in 2022, the loan balance has increased by 2.4 trillion Mongolian tugrix, or 11.9%. Overdue loan balance reached 1.3 trillion Mongolian tugrix, an increase of 351 billion Mongolian tugrix, or 35.6%. The value of non-performing loans reached 2.4 trillion Mongolian tugrix, an increase of 352 billion Mongolian tugrix, or 17.5% year-to-year. The growing amount of non-performing loans will have a negative impact on the banking sector and economic growth. On the other hand, economists note that it's impossible to decrease the amount of non-performing loans without improving and creating a more favorable business environment.
If there is a huge risk of economic crisis, there should be some strict limiting monetary policy. Then we should pay attention on how to enhance consistent economic growth. Therefore, the main burden should be borne by the government of Mongolia. Consequently, next year's budget bill should be thoroughly reviewed again by the cabinet. From the other side, development projects planned in 2023 must be implemented as soon as possible in order to quickly recover and boost the local economy.
Strict policy implemented by the Bank of Mongolia is intended to control the inflation rate and boost value of the Mongolian tugrix against foreign currency. However, it has its side effects such as shrinking economic growth that might trigger an increase in non-performing and overdue loans.
Compared to previous years, it can be explained the discount and rebate concluded in the first quarter of 2022. In addition, the Bank of Mongolia conducted asset quality assessments on the 5 major systematically important banks.
In 2023, no new budget investments are planned. It means no additional purchases and investments will be made, and no new measures to boost employment will be conducted within the budget policy frame. Economists advise to attract foreign investments to strategically important projects that will boost the national economy.
More than 50,000 children are employed in some form in Mongolia. International human rights organizations continue to warn about the need to reduce child labor, including intolerable labor.
There are more than 1.2 million children under the age of 18 in Mongolia. More than 56,000 of these children are employed in some way. When working, children are usually employed in construction, transportation, logistics, trade and service sectors. A survey was conducted. In the survey of 468 children, 43.1% were doing manual labor or heavy work such as building and carrying loads. 20.8% work part-time or work in places such as bars and restaurants. 18.1% are doing unpaid work or providing childcare services to help others. So we ask a professional about why employment among children is high and what are the reasons behind it.
In Mongolia, child labor conditions are intolerable. Children engaged in such work are not legally eligible for decent work in the tripartite relationship in which people are engaged in work. According to research, there are several main reasons for child labor. The 2 most important factors are poverty and neglect.
A survey was conducted asking 468 children whether they wanted to work in their childhood. 57.4% of those children answered that they sometimes wish not to work, while 28.8% answered that they want to live without working at all. Then 72.9% of the children who said they did not want to do any work in their childhood work 5 days a week. According to the survey, 39.6% work every day of the week and 29.2% work 2 to 3 times a week.
Mongolia is improving its legal environment. However, due to the lack of coordination with other laws, the implementation of this process is still insufficient.
According to a 2008 study, more than 96,000 children were working in Mongolia. More than 10 years later, in 2020, the number of children was still 56,000. This is a comparatively small number, but why is child labor not decreasing completely? We asked a professional about what we should do and what measures we should take.
If a child is employed, the child must be protected. In terms of legislation, international agreements and conventions should be implemented, especially by making it clear what is not tolerable and to improve regulations on the intolerable forms of child labor.
Mongolia is a member of 8 international agreements on child rights protection. By joining the convention, Mongolia is committed to eliminating child labor. In today's situation, child labor is not decreasing. Professionals said that in the future, it is necessary to pay more attention to the coordination with other laws and regulations, not only child labor and children's rights.
You're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. Now let's take a look at current affairs in Mongolia.
Mongolian baritone Amr Tushenkhpat was named one of the top 11 singers of 2022 in a release from Operawire, the digital newsletter offering the latest news from around the world. The Operawire also named French tenor Benjamin Bernheim, American opera singer Jenna Bridges, Italian soprano Eleonora Burato, British tenor Alan Clayton, American singer Anthony Roth Costanzo, and many others as top singers of this year. The digital newsletter highlighted our opera singer Amr Tushenkhpat as the worthy baritone of his generation. The Operawire continued to emphasize him as follows: currently one of the most sought-after singers at the great opera houses of the world. The Mongolian baritone continues to conquer everywhere the role he is assigned with his lush tone. In 2023, Amr Tushen will perform in the Metropolitan Opera in New York, Wiener Staatsoper in Austria, National Theatre in Munich, and in the Italian cities of Milan, Genoa, and Roma. Rock music magazine Metal Hammer names Mongolian band The Who's music video This Is Mongol as one of the top rock music videos of 2022. The magazine highlights that the 4-piece band seems to always retreat into their homeland's wilderness for their clips, but on This Is Mongol the band instead shifted scenery to the Mojave Desert in Nevada. It still looked damn gorgeous though. Last month, UNESCO named the Mongolian heavy metal band as UNESCO Artist for Peace.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at international news from our partner agencies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky unfurled a Ukrainian flag at the conclusion of his speech before a joint meeting of Congress Tuesday. As he presented the flag to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Pelosi presented him with a flag that flew over the U.S. Capitol.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky arrived in the House chamber to address Congress on Wednesday as part of his visit to the United States. The highly sensitive trip was taking place after 10 months of a brutal war that has seen tens of thousands of casualties on both sides and devastation from Ukrainian civilians. Zelensky's visit was meant to reinvigorate support for his country in the US and around the world, amid concerns that allies are growing wary of the costly war and its disruption to global food and energy supplies.
When Russia cannot reach our cities, but its artillery, it tries to destroy them with missile attacks. More than that, Russia found an ally in this genocidal policy, Iran. Iranian deadly drones sent to Russia in hundreds became a threat to our critical infrastructure. That is how one terrorist has found the other. It is just a matter of time when they will strike against your other allies. If we do not stop them now, we must do it.
In his speech, Zelensky stressed that Russia has been using Iranian drones to attack his country, and he's pledging there will be no compromises in trying to bring an end to the war.
It would be naive to wait for steps towards peace from Russia, which enjoys being a terrorist state. Russians are still poisoned by the Kremlin. The restoration of international legal order is our joint task. We need peace. Yes, Ukraine has already offered proposals, which I just discussed with President Biden, our peace formula, 10 points which should and must be implemented for our joint security, guaranteed for decades ahead, and the summit which can be held. I'm glad to stress that President Biden supported our peace initiative today. Each of you, ladies and gentlemen, can assist in the implementation to ensure that America's leadership remains solid. If Russian missiles attack us, we'll do our best to protect ourselves. If they attack us with Iranian drones and our people will have to go to bomb shelters on Christmas Eve, Ukrainians will still sit down at the holiday table and cheer up each other. And we don't have to know everyone's wish, as we know that all of us, millions of Ukrainians, wish the same: victory. Only victory.
President Joe Biden and Congress are responding with billions in new assistance and a pledge to help Ukraine pursue a just peace. Biden welcomed Zelensky to the Oval Office on Wednesday, saying the U.S. and Ukraine would continue to project a united defense as Russia wages a brutal assault on Ukraine's right to exist as a nation.
Thank you, sir.
Medicine companies in China are giving priority to the supply of anti-fever drugs since the relaxation of COVID-19 restrictions earlier this month, official media reported.
State broadcaster CCTV said in the central city of Wuhan, where the coronavirus was first discovered, more than 3 million tablets of ibuprofen were being delivered to medical institutions and pharmacies every day. In Jinan, in eastern Shandong province, 1.1 million tablets of ibuprofen were delivered to the grassroots clinics in 2 days, said CCTV. In Nanjing, in southeast Jiangsu province, more than 2 million tablets of anti-fever drugs were being distributed to the city residents by pharmacies. In order to meet the maximum demands of people in the city, each person can buy up to 6 tablets of anti-fever drugs. Multiple cities in southern China have converted COVID-19 testing booths into makeshift fever clinics in compliance with the country's optimization of COVID-19 restriction measures. Medics at newly transformed service stations can offer medical care such as diagnosis and medical treatment, consultation and guidance, prescription of traditional Chinese medicine, among many other medical services, said CCTV. China is seeing a surge of cases after the government last week eased some of the world's strictest COVID-19 containment measures.
为了方便群众就近看病就医。
Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. Barcelona and Poland striker Robert Lewandowski became the latest recipient of the Golden Foot Award at a star-studded ceremony in Monaco on Wednesday.
Lewandowski's final season with Bayern Munich saw him finish this season with 35 goals, and in addition he also picked up his second consecutive European Golden Shoe.
I'm very happy, I'm very proud, and for me it's a huge honor to win this award, Golden Foot, because I know that everything what I'm doing and what I did, I know how hard I have to work for this, and now I can be proud of myself and also of the awards what I won. If you see the list with the names, the winners of this trophy, that's make me even much more proud, because I know that if I'm staying the same names when what we see on the list, and it's always something, this awards, this kind of awards, something special, something extra what mean for me.
The Polish captain has enjoyed a strong start to live in Spain with 13 league goals in 14 appearances in La Liga.
Sweden's Sandra Nisland continued to show why she is the greatest ski cross competitor of all time at the FIS Freestyle World Cup in Anaheim, Italy on Wednesday.
Olympic champion Nisland edged out fierce rival Fanny Smith in the big final and has captured gold in all 4 World Cup events so far this season. Earlier this month, the 26-year-old rewrote history by topping the World Cup podium for the 30th time. She has now extended the record to 32 victories. Marielle Thompson took bronze behind Smith for her 55th World Cup podium. In the men's final, the only non-Canadian in the big final, Austrian Matthias Graf, took home his second career win, only his 4th World Cup race after switching from alpine skiing last year. Graf, who also tops the World Cup standings, was more than half a second faster than silver medalist Rhys Houghton, while Brady Lumen was 3rd. There is one more day of racing in Incheon on Thursday before a lengthy break. The World Cup circuit will then resume in Idefjäll, Sweden on 20th of January.
Pele's health has worsened during his hospital stay to regulate his cancer medication, doctors said Wednesday.
The Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo said in a statement Wednesday that Pele's cancer has advanced and that the 82-year-old Brazilian soccer great is under elevated care related to kidney and cardiac dysfunctions. The hospital did not mention any signs of the 3-time World Cup winner's recent respiratory infection, which was aggravated by COVID-19. Edson Arantes de Nascimento, who is globally known as Pele, is undergoing chemotherapy in his fight against cancer since he had a colon tumor removed in September 2021. Neither his family nor the hospital have said whether it has spread to other organs. Kelly Nascimento, one of his daughters, said Pele will stay in the hospital during Christmas. Pele led Brazil to victory in the 1958, 1962 and 1970 World Cups and remains one of the team's all-time leading scorer with 77 goals. Neymar tied Pele's record during the latest World Cup. Several tributes and get-well-soon wishes were made for the former football during the Qatar tournament, which was won by Argentina on Sunday.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.